guys, today I'm going to be testing and reviewing for you a set of really budget-friendly studio monitors, okay? Behind me I have a pair of 6.5-inch active studio monitors. Now to find a pair of studio monitors like this for less than $400 or $500 is extremely difficult, but to find a pair, not just a single speaker, but a pair for less than $220 is completely unreal, and that's what we have here. Now, in a lot of ways, these speakers are an extremely good value. You get a whole lot of speaker for your money, and in some other ways, you get sort of exactly what you pay for. So, if you want to learn more about these studio monitors, stick around. I'm Dan, this is Guns & Guitars, let's get started. So this video is actually a result of requests from you guys, my viewers. Ever since I've done some videos on the best budget in-ear monitors, you guys have been requesting non-stop for me to do some videos on the best budget studio monitors. So you can sort of think of this as the first installment in a video series where I'm going to be testing and reviewing budget-friendly studio monitors. Now this first set of speakers that I'm going to be testing and reviewing for you guys actually comes from a generic Chinese brand that I've come to know and really love. Okay, that same company that makes high-quality studio-grade cables, the same quality that I'd compare to Mogami for about half the price. That's right, Speakfriends actually makes a studio monitor. Who would have thought? So I went ahead and reached out to them because I've got such a good relationship with them to see if they'd be interested in sponsoring a video about their studio monitors, and they obliged. So they sent me these for testing and evaluation, and I'm gonna give you guys my honest opinion. Now, firstly, aside from their billboard branding there on the side, this is actually a very professional looking studio monitor. It's got a 6.5-inch carbon fiber speaker cone for the main cone and is internally biamp, so you actually have separate bass and treble control over the woofer and tweeter. On the back, as you would normally expect to see from a studio monitor, we have inputs for XLR and 1/4-inch TRX, and as a bonus, also have RCA and 3.5mm inputs. Now on top of that, there are some inputs on here that you would typically never see on a studio monitor, and that's an SD card input and a USB input, so you can actually play audio files directly from a media source like a hard drive. There's also Bluetooth with TWS pairing, so that means you can connect your phone or tablet or PC to these via Bluetooth and actually have wireless stereo connectivity to both speakers. Whoa, sorry, this speaker is a little bit heavier than I realized, and I nearly fell off my stool. So yes, you can wirelessly connect to these via Bluetooth and actually get true stereo pairing, which is very cool. As for the controls, you'll find your typical volumes for your XLR input, your other line inputs, a master volume for balancing with your other speaker, as well as treble and bass controls. Now the bass and treble controls, again, that's a feature you won't typically see on a studio monitor. Studio monitors are typically just tuned to be super flat and neutral, which makes them great for mixing, mastering, recording, that kind of stuff. So to have an external EQ on it, that really is more like a bookshelf speaker feature. Okay, but it is kind of cool that you can kind of tune it and tailor it to your music preferences or to the room that you have them set up in. I personally have found that these speakers can be tuned to either be neutral for your recording and mixing and mastering purposes, or you can tune it more hi-fi just for pure music listening enjoyment. I found for the neutral setting that you want the treble to be at about 1 o'clock and the bass to be at about 2.5 o'clock. 2:30, 2.5 o'clock, not quite 3 o'clock. Okay, and for hi-fi listening, I like to have the treble at 3 o'clock and the bass just all the way cranked. Now, this is a 6.5-inch speaker, which means that it will have more bass than these smaller studio monitor sizes like your 4 and 5-inch speakers, but 6 inches still isn't quite enough to negate the need for a subwoofer. So if you're doing some real music recording, you definitely need to pair these with a good solid subwoofer if you really want to hear those ultra low frequencies. Now, while these are a 500-watt pair of speakers, they don't get super loud. So if you're looking for a pair of speakers to take to a party to show off all your friends, all those techno tracks you've been remixing, this is not really the pair. They're not really designed to be PA speakers, okay? They're really designed to have a narrow, focused sound, okay? Again, because of the EQ, you can sort of tune it to be more neutral or more hi-fi based on your preferences, but again, just not really designed to be a PA loudspeaker. Now, to get a pair of 6.5-inch studio monitors that also double as bookshelf speakers for less than $220 is absolutely unreal, and I think for what you get, especially with all those added features, is an extremely good value. But in other ways, like I mentioned earlier, you're kind of getting what you pay for. And I did have two main issues with these speakers. The first being, when I first received my pair of speakers, one of the tweeters in one of the speakers just flat out didn't work. and me being the do-it-yourself fixer that I am, I immediately performed surgery on it. I took the backing off, which was actually really easy. Just 6 little Allen screws right there, and the whole back can come right off. And I immediately found that just one of the speaker wires for the tweeter had become loose during shipping. At least I assume it was loose during shipping. It might have just not been manufactured properly to begin with, but either way, it was an easy fix, and I had this thing up and running in no time. But I just want to let you guys know that, just in case you did buy a pair of these based on my recommendation, that is a possibility that it could happen to you too. The other issue that I had with these speakers was with the Bluetooth TWS feature, okay? And I was doing something that I probably shouldn't have been doing, and I'm gonna make every single studio engineer cringe when they hear this, but I wanted to test out whether or not you could use the Bluetooth feature for recording. Now, I know that's a big no-no because of the latency issues and just the general instability of wireless connections. Believe me, I know every studio engineer out there that's cringing right now, I know you're supposed to use quality studio cables like these Speakfriends cables that I love so much, and I'll tell you more about these later. But I don't want to be that guy that's stuck in the old pattern of doing things. I always want to try out new ideas, and one of those things is, as Bluetooth technology gets better and more stable, I thought maybe why not? Let's try recording with it. And I learned again why you shouldn't do that, because this happened. Now, if you could see my face at all during that clip, you would see complete bewilderment. I could not figure out for the life of me what was going on, and later, after reviewing the footage, I realized that one of the speakers had gotten delayed from the other one. Now, the problem eventually worked itself out. The TWS communication realized that it was out of sync and then resynced and then started back up together again. But needless to say, that ended my recording session via Bluetooth, and I immediately plugged in some quality studio cables. Now, I thoroughly tested that Bluetooth feature. I've used it with phones, I've used it with iPads, I've used it with computers, and the only time that issue ever occurred was with this 2012 MacBook Pro. Now, I realize that this thing is from the Stone Age and I really need a new one, but this one just won't seem to die, so I keep using it. And I know that Bluetooth technology has come a long way since 2012, especially the TWS stereo pairing feature is a more recent update to Bluetooth. So the culprit could very well be this computer. But again, I just wanted to let you guys know that you cannot rely on that Bluetooth TWS for recording. And even if you're connecting it to an older device, there is a possibility that that could happen. Again, the only way that I could make it happen was with this computer. I never had that issue with any other device. Needless to say, I immediately quit using the Bluetooth feature for my recordings and used a high quality studio cable instead. Now, by high quality studio cable, I of course mean a Speakfriends cable, okay? Like I said, this video is sponsored by Speakfriends, so I do want to give them a real quick shout out and promotion. Okay, their wire internally is the exact same as Mogami, and some of their cables actually use the same connectors as Mogami, those gold-plated Neutrix connectors, but they have some new cables coming out that I think you guys might want to know about, mostly because they are even more budget-friendly, and I actually expect them to be more rugged than the Mogami cables or the other Speakfriends cables that cost double what these cost. If you take a close look at these studio cables, you'll see they still use a gold-plated connector, but it's actually a bit more rugged than the Neutrix connector, and these are actually exclusive to Speakfriends. And as a result, because these are exclusive to Speakfriends, they can actually sell them for quite a bit cheaper because they're not sending any money to Neutrix. Okay, now it's still a gold tip connection, it's extremely rugged, machined out of metal, and it's fully user serviceable, which I think is a big deal because I'm a DIY guy, so I like to be able to take my cables apart and inspect them and clean them and resolder them if necessary. And the XLR cable, same thing, you can unscrew it and get to all your connections super easily. I would say the one downside to these, and the reason why I keep referring to them as studio cables as opposed to live performance cables, is they don't come in black. And that was my one criticism, and that's something that they're going to be working on. So keep your eyes out for these cables. They should be coming out in matte black soon, so they are adequate for stage use as well. But if you are going to be buying a pair of studio monitors like these and you need some high quality studio cables, definitely check out Speakfriends studio cables. It never hurts to have matching gear, cables that match your studio monitors. So that's going to be a solid investment. And of course, just like Mogami and any other quality brand, they come with a lifetime warranty as well. So you really can't go wrong buy once, cry once, right? So all in all, for less than $220 to get some studio monitors that can also double as just bookshelf speakers for music listening enjoyment with a built-in EQ, so you can tune it whether you want that narrow focused neutral sound or if you want more of a hi-fi sound for listening to music, watching TV, that kind of stuff. These are a spankin' bargain. I think for a limited time there is a discount code down in the description, so if you want to pick up some of these sooner than later is probably better. And if you're looking for some good neutral in-ear monitors to pair with it for your in-home mixing and mastering needs, check out that playlist right up there. And stay tuned for more videos on the best budget studio monitors. Again, I'm Dan, this is Guns and Guitars, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in that next video.